Good morning, everyone. I would like to really thank Stefano Boeri, the president of the Triennale, for the introduction and for inviting us all here today. I would like to thank the directors of the Triennale, and I would like to thank the Prefetto for also being here with us this morning. I'm very, very pleased. I'm PAOLA Antonelli, and I'm very, very pleased to greet you here today for the first public program for Broken Nature. It's very important for the curatorial team of Broken Nature, which is made of wonderful individuals that are here in Milan and in New York, to be able to open the dialogue, not only with you here in the room, but also with the people that are seeing us on live stream, and to start talking about Broken Nature. Broken Nature is really a dialogue that brings design and architecture in connection with the rest of the world. You know, we know that we are in a difficult situation when it comes to the environment, and we know that governments, politicians, policymakers have been trying to do something about it. And rules are important, laws are important, agreements are fundamental in a world of nation states and in a world of consensus and agreement. But citizens are even more important. Before governments can actually make something happen, behaviors have to change at the grassroots level. So COP23 was very important, but it's us human beings that need to really start thinking of how to pick up the trash. And we'll see that the trash is not necessarily trash, but could be a new material. This is a beautiful clock by Martin Bass that shows two human beings just moving trash as a face of a clock. So we need to think of restorative design. Restorative design is a concept that already exists in landscape design, but that we would like to co-opt for all of design. And it comes from the idea of restaurants. You know, restaurants were born in France in the 18th century as places where one would go to eat healthy food, perhaps really distasteful chicory soups, something really nasty, but that would be good for you. And it's only in a few decades and centuries that restaurants became places for conviviality and pleasure. We would like the same for design. Maybe at the beginning a few chicory soups, but then pleasure, delight, and just normalcy in concentrating on design that is good for you and good for the planet. Yesterday, we had a wonderful conversation with our advisory committee. Maybe many of them are speaking today about what is nature and what is the good. Who says what's good, us human beings or nature? We'll decide that. But for the time being, we're really calling the shots a little too much. You know, of course, you all know about the ice cap that is melting. You know, 1984, you see the dark blue was ice that was older than 90 years, and now it's so reduced in 2015. And in the future, there will be claimable areas in the North Pole that will increase. And already different countries that are around the North Pole are claiming their own parts of the ice cap on the North Pole because they know that soon that will become shippable routes, that will become commerce, that will become money. You see here the routes that are open on the North Pole today, and this is what's going to happen in 2075. There's going to be all those routes that will signify money for many countries. And of course, terraforming and geoengineering have been a way to colonize and to dominate for a very long time. You know, this is the work of Fazal Sheikh and for Yael Wisman from Forensic Architecture that have been looking at how forestation and just simply ecological change has been a way to colonize all over the world. We will discuss that today as we will discuss what nature is to us. We believe that when we talk about broken nature, we're talking about ties that are to all kinds of nature. Of course, plants and oceans, but also other human beings and bacteria and microbes, and also the cosmos and social constructs. This is our goddess. Everybody that deals with this particular subject always looks to Donna Haraway, and actually we're going to display tonight, we're going to screen a wonderful documentary about her after the end of this symposium. We believe that designers can help people, citizens, we like to always think of citizens, change their behaviors, change their frame of mind so that it's not anymore about thinking individually or in a small collective society. It's about thinking as nodes in systems. Think of the world and of nature as a gigantic acupuncture body, and we're 8 billion points of action. I like to always use this diagram by Neri Oxman to show how art, science, design, and engineering come together in a metabolic cycle to help us come up with ideas that are not only pretty or not only functional, but also that are holistically good for the world. We go from the metaphysical to the biological, to the physical, to the digital, coming together to create new types of artifacts, of interfaces, of systems, of structures, so long as we finally find a way to be, to build, and to design in the world that is more attuned to the way we should live in respect of nature and of others. Very recently, there was a discovery in Guatemala. Some Mayan ruins that one thought were just one layers were discovered to be much deeper using new technology. Therefore, the city that we thought was just a village was a big city, one more proof of the fact that the Mayan civilization, that it was one of the most developed civilizations and became extinct over a period of 500 years, was even more splendid than we thought. This is what happens to species in most cases. They become extinct over a very long time. Extinctions, except for the dinosaurs that were hit by the meteorite, extinctions don't happen overnight. They happen slowly but surely. And as human beings, we are headed for extinction. What we can do, I like to say, is that we can design a better ending, a more elegant ending, so the next species will treat us with a little more respect. We would like this Triennale to help citizens to think in systems, to think in long term. Systems like the tragedy of Rana Plaza in Bangladesh 5 years ago, when 1,300 plus workers died in a sweatshop in the city of Dhaka. Not buying clothes made in Bangladesh is not the right response. It's important to know that we're part of a system and that what we do has influence above our immediate circumstances. So long-term thinking and systemic thinking, and also reality. We would like this Triennale to leave citizens that visit with an idea of what they can do in real life to actually change their behaviors. This I'm showing you is a workshop that happened in Queens, the borough of New York, for 2 weeks, organized by Extrapolation Factory, a group of designers, to kind of help citizens of Queens think of their problems in their street, in their homes, and try to make changes to them. We will try to find reparation strategies. You know, reparation in the United States is a very loaded term because it's a term that is used, and in Africa also, it's used to actually think of what we should give back to populations that we have enslaved, to African Americans, to other populations around the world. And so I'm using it with the loaded expression that it has to think of nature. We would like people that come to the Triennale to leave thinking of strategies, thinking of how to actuate their change in the world. And these are just some of the keywords that we're thinking of. We also have thought of a kind of taxonomy of different areas of interest. And by the way, the graphics that you see are by Anna Kulacek, who's a wonderful young graphic designer from Ukrainian that is based in New York. And these are just few of the points of action, you know, from electronic waste to agriculture to radioactivity, you name it. And it really is a way for us to find areas of research that move from the government, repression, dictatorship, human rights, and trust and empathy. These are all the different keywords that we use to guide our research. Today, in this first symposium, you will meet wonderful speakers that are very diverse as background. Some come from science, some come from, between quotes, pure architecture, some come from urban planning. They all have one thing in common, this desire to change the way we think about the world, and this desire to help citizens directly, in a very tangible way, change the way they inhabit the world. This will be divided, the day-to-day, in 4 different chapters. Restorative design is the first, and I'm going to greet the first speakers very shortly. Then we'll have magic pragmatism, complex systems, and long-term attitudes. And at the end of the day, we will have a reception, of course, but then afterwards the screening of the Donna Haraway documentary, which is a real treat. If you don't know her yet, you're going to love her, just like we do with Abandon. So I would like the first panel, I would like to introduce to you the first panel, restorative design. I've already explained to you what it is. It's about trying to recuperate some of the threads that we have severed in the past more than 100 years. It's been ongoing, but it's been precipitated and accelerated in the past few years. And all these different designers have attitudes that help us think of restorative design. The first will be Sara Ichioka. Sara is based in Singapore, but I've known her for many years because she used to be the director of the Architectural Foundation in London. And in Singapore, she has started a company called Desire Lines that helps architects realize their potential and actually connects the Singaporean architectural culture to the rest of the world. Then will come Lorenzo Pezzani. Lorenzo is at Goldsmiths University in London. He's a lecturer, and also he's one of the central figures of forensic oceanography. Forensic oceanography, together with forensic architecture, is a wonderful group, a collective we can call, that has found a way to actually use architecture and engineering technology to help inquiries about war zones and areas all over the world. And he'll talk about migration on the Mediterranean, a very important topic. Khaled Malas is actually right now based in New York, but he's from Damascus, Syria. And together with the collective Sigil, he has for years been focusing on the Syrian territory, and by means of architecture, design, and performance, together with his partners, he has been highlighting the situation that is happening in the Middle East right now. And then Gabriela Gomez-Montt. Gabriela Gomez-Montt is a wonderful friend and a very unique hybrid person. She's the founder of the Laboratorio para la Ciudad in Mexico City. She has been working for, I think, 5 years at this point with the mayor of Mexico City to actually find a way to harness technology and the startup industry and design and crafts in the city, and also to find a way for citizens to work in order to make change happen in the city. And it's a wonderful activity that we see many mayors in the world involved in. So she will speak from the heart about Mexico City, and then at the end she will have a conversation with our own Stefano Micelli, who is an economist. He's a professor of business economics and management at Ca' Foscari, and he's been writing a lot about local responses to issues and about patrimony that is local, especially in craftsmanship. So I would like to greet Sara Ichioka first to the podium or to the stage, and I thank you all so very much for being here.